Hey everyone, Meerkat here, and welcome to the third episode. Today is going to be another data-driven episode, but it's a very important one for a Pokemon game or a PokeClone. What we're going to be looking at today is the game instance. So that those of you that don't know, the game instance is what is used to store information that is persistent between levels. So just as an example, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my my character, and I'm just going to add on jump. We're going to just print string, and we're going to just give this a variable, just as an example, test name. And we want it to print out the name. By default, we want it to do, we'll just call it Bob. So every time I jump, it's going to say Bob. If I have a box collision, and I create a open blueprint, an event for this one, and I change the name to Richard. So it's all Bob. Still Bob. Now it's Richard. So I found it. If I was to go over to our other map and jump, it would stay as Bob. It would revert back to the original because it's not stored anywhere. So we need a way of stopping that. And that is exactly what the game instance is used for. So we need to create the blueprint first. We're going to right click and we'll put it all in our tutorial one here. Blueprint class, and drop down the all classes and type in game instance. And we'll call this whatever you like. And compile and save. In the project settings, you need to go to maps and modes, and at the bottom here you need to change this to your one, otherwise it will not work. And this is what we're going to use to store everything from the party, from the encounter, to the monster storage if we have that, and so on and so on. So just as a test again, we're going to go test name. Give it the test, and by default it's going to be Bob. And we're going to have to change this very slightly, because we can remove that. Get game instance. Cast to instance. Get test name. Okay, so now if we just to prove it works, we've got Bob. And if we do this again, it's going to make it a lot bigger. If it's third person character, then we get game instance, cast to PokeClone, and then set test name back to Richard here. So here it says Bob, walk through this, it says Richard, and go to our battle scene, and you'll see it's stuck with it. It still says Richard and it doesn't change. Okay. So that's an example of what it's used for. Obviously we're not going to use that, but we are going to use it for other things. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a couple of variables because we're going to need to change them. So the first thing we're going to need is we're going to need a party. So I'm going to use the party and the storage as the same array. So we're going to go monster storage, and we're going to need to create a struct of structs. So we're going to need to create a new struct. And we're going to call this monster storage underscore struct, and all there's going to be is just box, which is going to be a monster info. It's going to be an array. Well, and perfect. So now we can change this as a monster storage, and over here we can have one box which will have six, and we need to change that into an array. So we have one box which will have six elements, and then we can have another one which will have to have 30. So this could take a while, but we shall do that later on. The important one is the first index. So we're going to just create a monster first. We'll call this one sphere, which is a sphere, and it's level 5. So what we can do, get game instance, cast to PokeClone, get monster storage, and then get a reference. This is a copy because you're not actually going to make any changes to this. 0, which means it's party. I'm going to break that, and then we can get a copy of the first one. Break, and we want to print string of, or print text, so we can append it, so we can format it, print text. Level and species, so we can go, it is a level species, so we drag it across now, and we should have a level 5 sphere. Okay. So next up, we're going to remove, or we're going to clear all of this, because by default we don't want to have anything there. We're going to create a new actor, which we will be adding to next episode, and we're going to go actor, and we're just going to call this we'll call this a debug item. Make sure it's visible. And then on overlap, cast to EP third character, and all we want to do is we want to add a Pokemon to his party. So get game instance, Class to PokeClone instance. Get monster storage. Get the reference. Break. Get the reference. Set members. And then we can just add name or a level and species. Level 5, sphere. And we want it to print string just to show that it's done. Add a check here, otherwise it will just error out. Text is empty. If it's not empty, then print. So it's going to do absolutely nothing. And if I add this in there, so it does nothing. Done, and it still shows us nothing. So let's see what's happened. Okay, that is my mistake. I used the wrong node. So what you need to do, instead of the set members, because it wasn't saving it back to the array, which was the issue, we need to set an array element, choose the index, which in this case is a 0, and then make the monster info off the back there. So now we have no monsters. I mean, if we go into our battle arena, and we still have no monsters, and then walk through this gate. We now have a level 5 sphere. And we still have the level 5. Okay, that's going to be it for this episode. The next one we're going to be spawning or creating monsters, including adding them to our party. We're going to add a couple of functions to the instance, so we don't have to do all of this mess over and over and over again. And we will get cracking with the battling very soon, I guess. So thank you guys for watching as usual, and I shall see you next time. Thank you very much.